Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first ever episode of Jam Talk. My name is Rachel Dolcine, and I am the chair for the Jamaica Diaspora Worldwide Organization Task Force. See the logo on the back there. And I am so excited and pleased to be able to have the opportunity to host these Jam Talks. So what are Jam Talks? I know you may be wondering, what is Rachel talking about? So Jam Talks are 30-minute conversations that we're going to have weekly. Actually, not we, I'm going to have weekly with individuals across the diaspora who are doing amazing work in community organizations, nonprofits. It could be individuals or it could be an organization, because we want you, the world, to know all the amazing things that Jamaicans are doing across the globe. Right? I think that's really important. So not just for you to know the information, but how you can support. If you're looking for an organization to support, if you're looking to get involved in how you can make Jamaica a better place to live and to thrive and to work, then these organizations are going to be a great fit for you. So today at our inaugural episode, I am so happy to have Mr. LeoGilling. He is the chairman of the Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network, of which JD Watt, you're going to hear a lot of acronyms during these episodes, right? Because these things are just too much to say. So JD Tan, he is the founder and chairman of JD Tan. And I thought it would be really important to have him be our first guest so he can talk about JD Tan. Talk about him, talk about JD Tan, how it got started, and what are his plans for the future. So before I get into the questions, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Gilling so he can introduce himself and tell you all about him, where he's from in Jamaica. He loves to talk about where he's from in Jamaica. So Mr. Gilling,
can you pronounce Rockabessa? Can you pronounce it?
Rockabessa.
Rockabessa. There you go. Good day, Rachel. You know, I don't give persons this opportunity very often because I don't like to talk about things that I do so much, but rather things that other people do and other people are involved. But this is about me. It's tough, but let's get through it. I am LeoGilling. I am from a little town in St. Mary, Jamaica. It was a banana town and it was a fishing village, but mostly it's a Rockabessa. It means golden head. We can sit there and look across the ocean as the sun sinks down in the ocean. Yes, and so I am from Rockabessa, and you know, I've been in this diaspora movement for probably close to 32 years. 1989 was my first effort when Air Jamaica, it was 88, sorry, when Gilbert hit Jamaica, and my friends down in California said, come on, man, Air Jamaica is going down. It's the only plane that can land. And we pack up Air Jamaica and stack it up with all kind of stuff and send it off, you know? And so since then, I have been a member of an organization called Jamaica Awareness Association of California. And you know, we just did a whole lot of stuff. Medical missions on ends, education missions on end. We've done things like sponsor students for school, both in the diaspora and in Jamaica. And sometimes we have 5, 6 students doing 5-year commitments with them and so forth. And they're still doing it. You know, I'm still a member at large in the organization. It's a 34-year-old organization. And so, but I have been in this space for more than 32 years. And it has taught me a lot, I must tell you. I have seen the hills and the valleys and the dugouts and the, you know, all of the challenges that people have, all of the things that people do to be on the face of diaspora movement and to be at the back of diaspora movement, to help, to support that kind of, I've seen it all. And so I am honored to be able to sit here with you today and you know, just be be loose about it.
Yes, and that's what this is all about, being loose and just really having folks be able to connect on a personal level. So
Yes.
I don't know if you remember when we first met, but we first met it was virtual. We were there was a group that wanted to plan a week of service in Jamaica. So this is before COVID.
That's before COVID.
Yes. Yeah, before COVID. And so I got on this call, and you were on the call. I don't remember if you were.
I was leading it.
Yeah. Okay.
I was leading it. Yes.
And I knew from day one that this man was a troublemaker. From that first call, I was on the call, and I was like, he got on the call, and this is one thing about him, and one thing that I do appreciate, because even when we have our leadership meetings, he goes through and he greets everybody who's on the call, and he have some kind of pick-in or some kind of joke or something. And he went through this call, and I was just like, this man is really something else. He went through all the people. He didn't know me. He didn't call my name because it was a large group of people. But the people he knew and that had been doing this work with him, and oh my goodness, made trouble. That maybe the first 10 minutes, as he said his hellos, he made trouble. But what it made me realize was that this is a very personable, even though Leo was, doing the work that he was doing, and lots of people know him or familiar with him, like, he was very personable, very, very personable. I mean, and this is something, like I've said, every meeting we've had since I've become a part of JD10, he goes through, and everybody's that's on the call, he goes through and he says, hi, how you doing? And then he says something to them or about them that he knows, because he's taking the time to get to know them, right? So he can crack these jokes. So not a perfect person, but who is? But Leo's definitely, I can say, as someone who's been in this space, not for very long, but passionate about Jamaica, passionate about making a difference there in his homeland, loves to talk about St. Mary and what the Bacchus? Rockabessa. So I am happy that you're allowing me to have this conversation with you today, because I know you told me a million times that you don't. So I am happy that you're having this conversation, and I know that once the conversation has concluded, folks who are watching will have the opportunity to see you in a different way than normally they may have seen you previously, or whatever they may have heard or seen in a professional arena. Now they can kind of get to know you as a person.
Okay, thank you.
So I know you love to talk about Rockabessa. Did I say it right?
Rockabessa.
So before I kind of delve into the questions about JD10, there is one thing that I would like you to share a little bit about. What was it like growing up in Rockabessa? I know for a while, you had you're doing some YouTube videos telling the story of growing up, Christmas and holidays and everything else. So what was it like growing up in Rockabessa?
Well, I grew up in what was generally what's called a tenement yard, right? So there are three, in my building, in my yard, there were two buildings, one with 3 rooms and the other with 3 rooms. And that each room is one family. So in my building, there were 1, 2, 3, 4 of us as kids, and my mom and dad. And then there was another family behind us with 5 kids and mom and dad. And then there's in the other building, there was just a wife and husband. And so a total of, in my building alone, 5, 7, and 6, 13, and to 15 persons in that 3-room, not 3-bedroom, 3 boxes in that building, right? And then the other building now, I remember the Lawses had 7 kids and wife and husband. Then the Cowards, just the wife and husband. And then the other family, Granny, Molly, Maureen, Tony, and their mother. That's 5. So 7, 9, and 5, 14, and 2, 16. So a total of 31 persons in a 6-room yard, right? And so then there's a latrine out at the back, and two kitchens, one for each of the buildings, right? And there are zinc kitchens. When I say kitchen, it's just boards and kitchen and zinc. And so until I was 12, that was my life, and we built a great relationship. I'm still good friends with those persons there. And later on, my mom worked pretty hard. She was a higgler. They never call him higgler them time because she was the first probably in Jamaica for doing that. She was walking from hotel to hotel, from house to house for 3 days a week, and me carried the grip on my head, and she there in front of me, and me barefoot with the grip, and sun upon my foot and sun upon my head, and my head ball. All right, so you can imagine what we went through. So I have this special relationship with my mom, right? And so I saw her, I watched her start her business selling combs and brush and toothbrush and toothpaste, and it moved up to clothing and panties and perfume, and then she bought her car and started getting things from America, and she bought the second car. I mean, I watched my mom build a 6-bedroom home with a huge living room area and 3 bathrooms and so forth. I watched her all the way do that and build herself into a really, really formidable individual. And so I've grown from what was called a tenement yard into a really big home in the space of about 14, 15 years, right? I went to school. I figure I was pretty smart because I started in A class and went up to grade 6 and 6A. And, I didn't pass examination, common entrance, but I still consider myself, I got a chance to go to Sam Sharp Teachers College, which was a turning point in my life because that was my opportunity to leave out of Orokobesa, even though I went to Montego Bay, but I felt like here is my opportunity to start spreading academically as a big man, as a youth, that kind of thing, and doing other things. And so, but I've always maintained my relationship with Orokobesa. Orokobesa is like the part of me that can't leave. You understand? And it's the part that I would say, a person would say, I don't want to get back there, but it's the root place that determines where I spring from and go forward. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does.
Yes.
It absolutely does. And I understand a little bit more than your passion about kind of harnessing the power of the diaspora to help Jamaica, because that's our roots,
yes.
Right? And it's important to take care of those roots, even if you never set foot in Jamaica after you've left. It's important to stay connected and to maintain those.
Absolutely.
So, that makes sense. That makes sense now. So I know that, I would call you someone who is a philanthropist, someone who really is about changing the world and making a difference. So in your youth, whether it's as a child or even as a young man after leaving your mom's home, was there something that, was there a point for you when you were just like, I want to be committed to making a difference in the world, whether it's through my job or I'm going to approach the world, with this idea that I need to give back?
It's a good question. And I remember by the time I graduated secondary school, it wasn't high school then, by the time I graduated secondary school, I remember clearly that there had never been a graduation, an official graduation held, because the school was 6 years old by the time I graduated, because we started, my first batch, my grade 7 batch was the first batch of that school, right? Okay. There was 7, 8, and 9, because they had they had converted from an all-age school to a secondary school, and the secondary school only had 7, 8, and 9. So I was in the grade 7 batch, right? Okay. So I spent 5 years at that school, and the batches before us did not have an official graduation where they went to a ball and all of that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember, I got my friends together and say, there wasn't a ball before, but this does not necessarily mean that we can't have one. We should be the first one to have a ball, And so we planned our church service, but then I got many of my friends to put cans of canned milks, the empty milk cans, And we divided ourselves. A half of us went to Port Maria and a half walked to Ocho Rios. And we went and had, this is 1978 people. I'm not aging myself, but 1978, there were like 15 of us who left and went to Ocho Rios, another 15 went to Port Maria. And we went and begged quarter,
Wow.
10 cents and filled our pans. By the time we came back home, we took money out of the pans to take a bus to come back home. It wasn't very expensive then, but we were able to raise enough money to have a DJ, to rent a hotel, and have food, plus. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And I did that again in college. Our first major magazine that we put together, I was the one who said, you know, the other magazines that they had put together only had like the pictures of, you know, they have, we call it the portrait of everybody, and it was pretty small. So they put all the portraits, and then they tell us, we wanted an extravagant magazine with poems and stories and pictures about our lives on campus and all of that stuff. And when it was done, it was a fat book, different from what had gone before. So I think, you know, bringing community together has been a part of who I have been for a long time. I never really noticed. I was just doing things just to make things happen. But you know, I've sat with friends of mine who went to school with me and went to college with me and say, you know, Pressa, oops, then call me Pressa at college.
Let me write that down.
You know, we noticed this about you from a long time, that you have been doing this stuff and so forth. And so, I mean, you know, as I said, it wasn't like a plan to do, but it's just something that I thought was necessary at the time to be done. And I guess that's where it all started. I've always been doing things like that.
And that's why I think like these conversations are so important, especially for for folks who've been doing this work for so long, so that those who are coming after can know the start, right? What the legacy is, yes. And be able for themselves to understand that the gifts and the talents they may have, they're not even putting two and two together. Right. Because you weren't thinking when I grew up, I'm going to start this. You saw a need in the community organizer. You organized, you gave everybody tasks, gave them instruction. They all went out, you came back, and you did it over and over and over and over as you aged. And that all prepared you for where you are now, but you probably weren't thinking of, okay, this is step one, step two.
Right.
So, yeah. So it's just amazing when you just look at kids and young people and the talents they have and the things they do well. Yes. You never know where they're going to end up, but really investing in that and really helping young people to recognize some of the skills and talents you had, that it's now how many years later, your friends are like, yeah, we always saw that in you.
Yes.
And really putting that out so young people can really understand and see who they are from a young age and appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Because with Jetty Tan, you're pretty much doing the very same thing, just on a bigger scale. It's just on steroids, as they say. Same thing on steroids. It's just a way on a whole bigger scale, but those small beginnings is what led you, and being consistent is what led you now to this huge organization. Yes. So now we get to JD Tan. So what led you to start JD Tan? What was that? What is that story? What is JD Tan's startup story?
It's a journey. And so then I had to think about it, right? So all those years that I spent, I had created so many organizations over the years, right? During independence, while I spent 30 years in California. During independence, I created something called Celebrate Jamaica, Los Angeles, because we were coming up to 50th, and 7 years before our 50th anniversary, I came up with this thing where, you know, I think we need to, because California didn't have anything where we lauded Jamaica and highlighted a flag raising ceremony. And so I did that. I brought the entire business community together, all of the organizations together, and I'd bring you know, in the summer of like July, every organization who had something to do with independence, I'd bring their flyers together and make it one robust event, summer event, and everything is independence from July 1st to behind August 6th. And everybody, we had one of the biggest picnics, 3,500 persons each time. And we had like three-legged race and sack races. I mean, that's what I did, right? I also was a member of the Jamaica Awareness Association. And I've gone, I remember back in 2004, the government, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs invited many diaspora members to start a movement. So we all went to Jamaica, went to a conference, we sat down, put some thoughts together. We had an idea of what we thought diaspora can do for Jamaica. And that's where it all began, right? Because after being an alternate diaspora advisory board member, after being a diaspora advisory board member, I also learned that there are individuals in the diaspora who are passionate about giving back. And they take themselves and they go to Jamaica and they give back to their basic school and they give back to this and then there are organizations that says they want to do something for their communities and they go back to their communities and they do this and they raise funds and they do this. And then there are alumni associations that want to do this for their schools. And I recognize all of that, but the one thing that I recognize also was that most of these organizations or individuals that are doing, they really go towards a community or a specific school, which is good. But when I started Jamaica Diaspora Education Task Force in 2013, I wanted not to spend a whole year raising funds and then go down and spend it all once time and then you don't see us again for the next year. I didn't like that. I think that I wanted to start something that people can continually be engaged and you are a part of the national development and that you can give on a broad scale, inclusive of the non-profit organizations, inclusive of the person, the individuals, and anybody at all who want to give throughout the year rather than one time a year. Does that make sense? So that's what that was the whole basis of the Jamaica Diaspora Education Task Force. And by the time there were like 6 of us who started back in 2013, and within about 2 months, we had like 80 persons. 3 months, we were like 300, 200 persons on the line on a Sunday. And it was conference call, not video call. It was telephone conference calls. And we built something real special that the Jamaica Teachers Association first, because we sent out about 300 letters back across Jamaica, the first organization to respond to the Jamaica Diaspora Education Task Force was the Jamaica Teachers Association. And that's why I'm so close to that organization, because they've stood with us for all 8 years and never left. And they spend on their teachers. They make sure that teachers always are developed and so forth. And so once that started in 2013, by 2015, the Jamaica Diaspora Agriculture Task Force started because it was so, the education was so, lucrative. And then the Entrepreneurship and Technology Task Force. Then 2016 or 2017, the Crime Intervention and Prevention Task Force started, and then immigration started. So we have a lot of task forces now doing things. And the one good thing that I saw is that it was proliferating across the diaspora. We were energizing people to come to these task forces and become a part of a movement. Does that make sense? So yes. That's what came out. The first 10 years from 2004 to 2013, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. we were just spinning our wheels.
Mhm.
You know, just because we were having conferences and we going down every 2 years, it didn't mean that we were doing anything. But
Right.
once, you know, after 10 years, we found that recipe, that thing that says, bring people together under different sectors, rather than having 200 persons in a room that's doing 15, 20 different things and thinking 15 different things. When you get out of that room, there's nothing accomplished because everybody has their own thoughts about how engagement should take place. But what I thought was that why not get people who are thinking along the same lines, teachers, for example, or educators, or agriculture people, or health people, get them to think along the same lines so that at the end of a meeting, we can have something that is sustainable, that is something that is doable, and something that everybody can coalesce around. You understand? Yeah. So that was the start was not just Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network, but it started with all of my involvement from being a person doing work, from an organization doing work, 501c3, alumni, all of that coupled up, because you get all that learning and you say, okay, let's put it in a better way. And the Jamaica Diaspora Education Task Force created that avenue, that platform that people can. So that's how it started. In 2019, however, 2019 or 2018, whatever. I went to the General Assembly at the UN General Assembly in New York, and I met with Bill Clinton and his organization, and I went and listened to all of the persons talked in the action zone and all of the persons who are leaders. I listened to all of them talk, and it occurred to me that we, the task forces, were operating independently of each other. You know, this person was leading and they were doing their own thing. This person, and they're doing their own thing. And I said, why not get everybody together under one umbrella so that we can have our own sector, but we have a broad goal so that we can all coalesce under the same umbrella and be more pronounced, more robust about the things that we're doing. And so that's how JD TAN was started. The word action was very important to me, because action energizes. The word action makes you think that we have to do something or else we're not in existence. You understand? So I took the word action from the UN General Assembly, their action zone, and decided that I need to incorporate it in anything that I do forward. And so that's how the Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network of sectors come together. And so within 1 month, believe me, I sent out, and that's where you came in, because I sent out an invitation for persons across diaspora to come to task force, to Action Task Force. And people responded. That we had 420 people came in within a month. 420. Wow. I've never seen that like that before. I mean, we're up to like 1,500 persons now. But that 400 was a massive jump for me. I'd never seen anything like that. And everybody was in their own sectors and they were having meetings, and it was beautiful, you know. So that's how it all started. I have not been disappointed at all. And I hope that answers your question.
It absolutely does. So now how many task forces exist as a part of JD10?
Well, we have, I think it's 13. We started with 15, but sometimes you have to look at the reality of what can you manage now. So, you know, I think we're at 13 right now, 13 task forces. I wish I could name them all, but let's try.
I would ask you to name them all, because I can't name
I can name some of them. Let's go. There's education, Lord, agriculture, health, behavioral health, technology and entrepreneurship, arts and culture, citizen security, my book, Oh, JD what?
You see? Yeah, I'm sitting here, y'all. I'm sitting here and wondering why we weren't mentioned first. That whole logo back here.
You be right in front of you, right?
8 out of 13. That's where we rank.
I was trying to go A, B, C, D, you know, but
yeah, okay. 8 out of 13, y'all. Everybody, you see that on our inaugural podcast, right? Yeah, 8 out of 13. But that was good. 8 out of 13, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, who did he miss? I don't know. We have mentorship now.
Yes, mentorship.
Mentorship.
I think that's going to be great. Yes.
Yes, it's a mentorship task force as well.
There's youth.
Yes.
What else? Please move on. I don't want to.
10 out of 13. 10 out of 13. And in how many countries? About how many countries?
We are spread. The entire 1,500 persons are spread across 23 countries across the world.
Wow.
Yeah, and let me give you a little bit of facts. When we had the Jamaica Diaspora Education Task Force, we had about 4,000 persons across the diaspora, Jamaicans across the diaspora, that we were sending emails to and keeping abreast of what was going on, right? When JD TAN was formed 2 years ago, we had 10,000, right? Wow. Now, the amount of Jamaicans that are on our mailing list for the past 2 years is more than 110,000.
Wow.
Right? So when we send out an email to the general Jamaican populace across the world, we're sending out to more than 110,000 people. And we, I mean, it's mind-blowing, because I love to get responses to those emails, and they come in like pow, 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 pow. People just, I just love it. It's really nice to see. And I sit down and I respond to a lot of them. Unless someone says thank you or noted or something like that. If someone says, writes one line, one sentence, they're getting a response from me. That's how I am.
So let's let that sink in for a minute. So 13 task forces in over 23 countries, over 1,500 active task force members, meaning these are folks who have signed up for a task force.
Yeah, they've
registered for a task force.
Yes.
But the reach is 110,000
Jamaicans across the world. Yes. Yes.
I want everyone who's kind of watching to let that sink in, right?
So, I can add something else. That's gonna
blow our minds even more. Yes.
So back in the day, when I used to use like constant contact to mail people, right? Mm-hmm. Our open rate at the time was, when we say open rate, it means that people who open the emails, right?
Yes.
Was anywhere from 5 to like 15%. 15 was high, okay? So it has to be something very, very exciting for people for it to go up to 15%.
Yeah.
And if you do your survey across network and ask people what their open rate is, the average open rate is 10%.
Yeah.
You know what? Across 110,000 people, I don't know what our rate is. Our open
90%.
Rate is 90. It's between 86 and 90%.
I knew that. That's why I answered.
Oh, you cheater! You old cheater!
but that is a phenomenal. That is a phenomenal click rate, open rate for, because 10% is about what is normal for open rate. You say 10% of the people that you send the information to will open it. Yes. And even less will respond.
That is exactly
90% right. Open rate is absolutely, it speaks to the reach, and it also speaks to
the quality,
the need. Yeah, the quality, but the need, the interest.
Yes.
The interest of people around the globe in being connected to Jamaica. So, I mean, as I'm sitting here, because some of this I haven't heard before, and some of it I have, but some of it I haven't heard before. And as I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, wow, a young man who organized a graduation celebration for his school, for a small school in Jamaica. No, seriously, when you kind of look at it,
it's translated into that,
from
right?
that to now 110,000 is the reach. It to me, it's just like, wow, that is just so amazing. It's an amazing story. And I think it speaks to legacy building, right?
You're right, because sometimes I must tell you this, that I'm amazed sometimes when I travel and go into anywhere, almost anywhere. And you remember now, think about it, because these 110,000 people are I don't know, not even quarter.
Right.
If I say the name Leo, my name is LeoGilling, persons will say, oh, I get your email. Oh, I get your email. Oh, I get your email. I mean, and it just blows my mind because they know more about me than I don't know about them. Mm-hmm. I mean, I went to Jamaica last week, for example, and I must have gone across 5, 6 parishes and met probably 30, 40 persons. And I'm telling you, out of those persons, I don't remember anyone said who didn't know my name, who didn't know already getting my email. It was really an amazing thing for me, really, really. So, I thank, let me just use this opportunity because it's I really, really thank you for taking the time to open the email and to engage us. It's an amazing thing because Jamaica needs us, even our attention.
Yes.
Right now, okay? It needs us really, really bad. And it doesn't have to be money, people. It don't have to be money because we don't raise funds, but whatever translates into money is a lot more, because a person who gives an hour of their professional time, that's like $2,500. They can't. They're not gonna take out $2,500 out of them pocket and give it to you.
Right.
Right. So So it translates, So
32 years, thousands and thousands of hours of service and volunteering and doing community work, a reach of hundreds of thousands. What are some of the, let me say some, because we're winding down our time. What would you say is 2 or 3 lessons that you've learned in the last 32 years of doing this work that you want to share with those who are listening and watching?
The first thing that I want to say, there are 2 major things, right? But I'm going to say others, right? But the first thing that I want everyone to know is that if you make philanthropy about yourself, meaning that you go to Jamaica and you do all of these things just to be Mr. Man, Mr. Big Man, or, just to have your name in the paper and stuff. If that's about you, what's going to happen is going to get burnout in about 2 years, 3 years. Boom, you're going to burn out. Because after a while, the newspaper is not going to be looking at you. They're not going to be writing about you. And you're going to wonder, what I'm doing all this work and it's not happening. So if philanthropy, the word philanthropy must mean what it says about other people, about taking of yourself and giving to other people. That is the number one thing. And without any sense that you are going to get anything back. Because you can do an entire year and nobody recognizes you. But you continue to do it because it's not about you, it's about the person that you're trying to help, right?
Yes.
So that is number one, right? Number two, right, is relationship building. Because no way on earth that we could have been anywhere close to what we are if we never had more than because this is another statistic that I'm giving you. We have developed more than 120 relationships, solid relationships that we've kept from 2013 until now. The people who are working with us in 2013 and 2014, and they're still working with us today. Do you understand? Because we can always call them and say, hey, we're doing this. Do you want to participate? Do you want to partner? So the number two thing that you want to do in philanthropy is make sure that it's not about what you can do for others, but what a collaborative effort can do for others. Because the bigger the collaboration is the more robust things you can do. And then by virtue of being robust and giving other persons the opportunity, you get some notification if you deserve it, Number three is in that giving of yourself. You can't fear that somebody's going to take your position. Who gives a right ass, right? You empower leaders. You empower people who are already leaders and they don't know that they're leaders, who are already leaders and know that they're leaders, but they need an opportunity. You give it to them so that you become a complete tentacled individual. You have all kind of tentacles out there that's leading out, not in, but out, so that 10 of your tentacles is reaching 100 other persons out there, and those 100 making not 1,000 people out there. That's how philanthropy works. And it's not necessarily about the first thing that a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to do charity. Charity is different from philanthropy, by the way, okay? Oh, I'm going to do charity. And the first thing they want to do is start a 501c3 organization. You don't need a 501c3 organization to do work. If you really want to do work, you do work, right? And then they say, function before formality. So do the work, make people see that you really mean what you do out there, and it will come. Build it, and it will come.
Yes.
Build it, right? That's how I operate. And I don't do it intentionally. I don't think I had a paper. When we started JD Tan, we had no rules, no policies. They're just started while we build. So people do things and you realize, okay, we have to make a policy to fit the entire persons that are participating, and you build a policy. But we didn't start with any rules. We just had the passion to want to give back to our country. So those three things are important. Building, making it about others,
people,
creating partnerships, and creating leaders that's out there. Those are the three main things that will cause you later on to start bringing money in. Because once your policies are in place and people see that you're strong, that comes without saying.
Yeah, I had to write those three down because I'm like, those are good. I think those are three really good lessons learned and kind of things to share with others, because I know a lot of times as leaders, and even though I'm on the older 10 of the young pool now, I'm out. Normally it's 40 and under, and I've left the 40. I'm in the 40 club.
I am not going to get into that conversation.
Even though I'm on the older end now of a young leadership pool, these are things I know for me, and I know for other young leaders who are like myself. We look to learn and we look to be inspired from those who are leading the way ahead of us. That some of the things that we're learning now, it's just history repeats itself. You have to earn your stripes. You have to go through your own leadership journey, but there's so much that can be avoided. So much that we as young leaders cannot do.
Yes.
Or do better if the folks who have gone ahead of us have conversations like this.
Absolutely.
So that there's this type of, here's what I learned, because we're not going to go through our specific stories may be different, but a leadership journey is a leadership journey. Like the three things that we said.
That is exactly right.
Yeah, it's a leadership journey. But if you have folks who are sharing and saying, here's what I did that landed me in a hole. Here's how I got out, and here's what I learned. Here's how you can avoid that hole.
Yes.
I think that's why these type of conversations are so very important. So
you remember our conversation last year when you became the leader of JD Watt? You remember our conversation?
No, I try to forget it.
I'm
like, what was I thinking when I'm like, I'll do it.
Oh my God!
So I don't reminisce.
Anyway, we talked about how you can, make what you're doing, because you do amazing work. I'm telling
Thank
you,
you.
you have this skill to put things into perspective and broaden it. You
Yes.
were operating, as Rachel, and I said, take JD Watt and make it you and JD Watt going out there. I mean, that's what I wanted for you. And look at you're creating something that is. I didn't even realize that you had all these skills. That's really, really nice. But I saw that in you, that you had this really nice, cute leadership ability that needed that opportunity. And I love it. I must tell you, no. I tell you, I respect you highly because of your resilience and the way you go about your business, and you know exactly what you want to do and you plan it and execute it. I like that a lot. Trust me.
And relentless. When I get my idea, I run it down. So I mean, and I appreciate that, because you've told me that consistently. And I think that's also important for young leaders. That encouragement, that pointing out when you're doing things well. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. When I mess up, trust me.
Oh, Lordy.
Oh, don't think it. Yeah, when I get it too. But I think that whole encouragement of seeing in young people what they may not see in themselves, or they may see it but not know exactly where to put it, what to do with it, and then giving them the opportunity not just to prove what they're really made of, but to learn and grow in an environment that allows them to. Yes, there's a box because there's rules, but there's a huge box, right? And there's a lot of room to use my own creativity. So I think even opportunities like this, being the chairperson for this task force, even being involved in the task force, is an amazing opportunity for young Jamaicans who you may be watching this, or Jamaicans. Yes. Or I don't know what they call you if you're in Europe. Europeans, I don't know. But if you're Jamaicans, wherever you are, and you're a young, you consider yourself a young leader, or you want to be, I think a place like JD10 is an amazing opportunity, because it allows you to get those leadership skills in a way that it's not detrimental to your career per se, because it's not a job where you're getting assessed and you might get fired. It's a way for you really to try your skills. What can I learn? What can I bring to the table? How can I grow and hone those skills? Because this is going on my resume, of course, right? But it's a resume builder. Yes. And because JD10 is a brand that's recognized globally, when you put something about on your resume and you speak to what you've done, they automatically connect. Absolutely. Right? You automatically enter the room and enter the space with a level of respect because of what you're connected to. Yes. Right? And so really these conversations that we're going to be having over the next couple of weeks with organizations is for you to see and figure out, where do you fit in? How can I continue to add to this legacy, this amazing movement that's already happening? Yes. I kind of fell into it. And let me tell you,
I called her. I called her. And I said, Rachel.
They got me good, y'all. Got me good. So I have two last questions I definitely want to cover before we end our time together. And this has been absolutely amazing. Now, this interview is going to be a little longer than the other ones because it's our first one. So the other interviews we're going to do will be 30 minutes long. So just enough for your lunch break. You can watch it over your lunch break and eat your lunch and watch us cut up during these interviews. So I have two questions left for you. If you were to think of one thing that you are most proud of when you think back on JD10 and where you started and where it is now, just one thing. I know there's probably a lot, but what is one thing that when you think about it, you said, oh my goodness, I am so absolutely proud that we were able to do.
Very simple. It's very, very simple. And it started back in 2013 and it's still happening. That when I call a meeting and there are 32 leaders and 25 of them come.
It's true.
I mean,
we normally have almost full attendance.
It
Yeah.
tells me, yes, it tells me that there's something going on good, right?
Yes.
And so that's very, very simple, because it tells me that people have bought into whatever it is that we're doing, and they are willing to come to meetings. And when they go onto Durban, Malcolm, or they go onto any kind of radio, they represent themselves very nicely. I'm proud. I'm very, very proud. Yeah. So the one thing is the representation that occurs, because I could have called meetings and only 2 people show up, and
right.
I see a lot of that happen.
Yeah.
You know, so it's been happening like this from 2013. That when we call meetings, sometimes we have 200 persons on a meeting that I can't control, but I still try, you know. Yeah. But those are those kind of meetings were mostly general in just to get people together. But when we have JD10 meetings and we have 32 leaders and 25 of them or more show up, I am so happy. And that's why I call everybody's name. I go down the line and I
sure does
what everybody.
Yeah. All right, and then my last question for you is: so JD10 is going to be your legacy, right? And at some point, whether it's you have your cane and you're limping away because you can't just manage to physically be involved with JD10 anymore, but it's a legacy. So when you think about into the future, 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, because JD10, like I said, it's a legacy that's going to live on, and it's going to be timeless. What are you hoping? What is your hope for JD10 as your legacy?
Well, first of all, I don't want it to be my legacy, really. I want it to be the legacy of the leaders who are leading each of the task forces. That's what this is all about, right? It's about empowerment of people, right? But back in 2008, 2004, 2006, 2008, 2010, 2013, and even 15, there was talk in Jamaica, and all of the news and many people who joined here in the past 2, 3, 4 years don't know this, right? There was something that the news continued to use to hurt the diaspora. They use the term talk shop. And what does that mean? That means that all we do is brag about being in the diaspora, and we got Jamaica and go boast, and we do nothing for Jamaica. We talk, right? So there's a lot of that goes on. Listen, if I should sit here, I can go through and tell you the various types of people that are in diaspora. We can categorize people. It's nothing bad, just something that will give you an idea of how people react to developments in Jamaica, right? In 2013, when I already thought about the Jamaica Diaspora Education Task Force, and I went to speak at the conference in 2013 in Montego Bay, my speech, the final thoughts in my speech was that I am going to work to make sure that the word talk shop does not get mentioned in newspaper unless it's in Jamaica, unless it's for good. Because it's like, here I am in an organization for 24, 23 years, going to Jamaica every year, doing things with Jamaicans, all of that stuff. And you go and call me talk shop. You understand? But I understood it because there are a lot of people in diaspora who are frightened about being here and want to go back and show off in Jamaica that they are in America and they can spend money and stuff. There are a lot of people like that. They'll go on radio stations and talk big and they make promises, and the promises don't come true. Oh, we can raise this amount of money. Oh, we can do this, and oh, we can do that. And Jamaica never sees any of it, right? Because it's pure talk. That is talk shop. And so when the Diaspora Education Task Force was born, it was born with that negative, because I wanted to kill talk shop. And the only thing that I will take credit for throughout everything else that we do The only thing that I will take credit for is to proliferate diaspora and diaspora engagement so that we don't hear it on the news anymore. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that I will take credit for. I don't want to credit for in other work. I just want to make sure that people understand that diaspora engagement is not one way. It's
Right.
two ways, okay? Engagement means Jamaica engages with the diaspora because it's a totally different jurisdictions. Jamaica is here, is in Jamaica, America, Canada, UK, and all the outland countries, totally different jurisdictions. So now Jamaica has to find a way how to understand the various people in the various countries and get them to act, get them to react, and get them to act. Then the people in these countries need to engage with Jamaica, but they need to understand first what are the gaps, what are the challenges, how can we help, how can we bring our resources to bear to Jamaica. So there's two ways. Jamaica engages with the diaspora to give us understanding of what's going on, and we respond with the resources that we can to give to Jamaica. It's not a one-way street. It's two ways. All right. And so, what's your question again?
What are your hopes for the legacy?
My hope for is that there's an understanding from Jamaica about diaspora and an understanding from diaspora about Jamaica so that we can partner, real partnership for development. And so that nobody in Jamaica owns diaspora. Nobody in diaspora owns Jamaica. They own land and thing, but we don't own Jamaica. We can't change the laws down there, and the laws in Jamaica can't apply in America just the same way. All right. And so, but there is a way to partner so that the engagement becomes fulsome and wholesome and sustainable. That's what my hope is.
So your hope is that JD10 helps to bridge that, becomes a vehicle by which we have a sustainable
partnership with Jamaica.
Diaspora, healthy, that is mutually beneficial, because there's nothing wrong with something being mutually beneficial, but sustainable. So it's sustainable long into the future.
Yes.
And I think amazing strides are being taken in that direction. The little bit of time I've been a part of JD10, y'all, JD10 is a machine. Let me tell you, these task force leaders are some of the most amazing people that I have met. I mean, across so many different industries, accomplished in their own rights. I mean, really impressive set. The folks that are chairs and co-chairs of the task force. So this is not like foo-foo stuff or just plating. These are men and women who are serious, really seriously committed.
This is
and they're all Jamaicans of all different age groups, all different walks of life. One thing in common is that they believe that Jamaica can be a country, the best place on earth to live, to work, to be educated, and to thrive.
There you go, girl.
The best place. We all believe that, and because we all believe that, we understand that the skills we've attained, the accomplishments we've had, our degrees, the money we've earned, that all we can use all that in some way to make our homeland amazing. And really, that's what this movement is all about. And I think that is definitely something that's sustainable. It's been how many years now, and we're continually getting new blood that comes to really people connecting. I mean, 110,000 is nothing to find about. That's some countries, that's the entire population, right? And all over the globe. So Ms. LeoGilling, thank you so very much for breaking your I don't interview rule to come on the Jamtalks inaugural inaugural first ever episode, and really sharing your passion about JD10, why it got started. I learned quite a bit of stuff. I took some notes. But your passion and your personality has come through, I'm sure. Those who are watching. And when you have a leader that is passionate about the work and about the vision, it trickles downward, right? Everything that good, bad, or indifferent trickles downward. So when you have someone at the head or folks at the head who are just as engaged, enthusiastic, it trickles down to everything else that's happening on the ground. So thank you for breaking your rule.
My rule.
Yes.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. You've been amazing, and you had me making a lot of noise and getting all passionate, and oh my God.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. Like after 32 years, how many people after 32 years in any industry, any job, is still as passionate as day one? Very few people, and I've met a lot of people. But by the time this time rolls around, folks are looking to retirement, looking to do something that's, travel. But after 32 years of being in this space, you are just as excited, passionate as day one.
It's because I'm learning still. I'm still learning.
And that's an amazing mindset, that growth mindset.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for tuning in to our first episode. Please join us next week, Tuesday, for another episode of Jamtalks. And we will be interviewing an organization. I won't tell you what it is. Surprise, surprise, show up. But next week, Tuesdays at noon, join us from noon to 12:30 as we talk with organizations throughout the diaspora. And we will see you next time. Have a great week.
Bye now.